Cooperation between human expertise and AI in Security Operations Center. I'm sure this topic will be quite interesting for all of you. And as this is the last session for the day, I'm sure we'll make it more interactive. I would welcome the moderator, DP Sreenivas, the co-founder and CEO of Duranc Tech Services, to introduce the panelists and invite them on the stage. And this will be a 45 minutes of discussion, then followed by question answer. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Dominic. Good afternoon, or probably getting close to good evening. Hope the tea is working and everybody is alert and active. This is the last session, but we'll try to make it more interactive in terms of its involvement. All the four panelists here are experts in their own field. So I would request all of you to give more of a questions to them in their field. Some are cyber experts, cyber security experts, some are SOC, and so having said that, I would like to call on Aruna Dalai. He leads global business continuity and disaster recovery for Xactly Corporation, with over 15 years of expertise in across the private and public sectors, a DRI certified and business continuity and cyber resilience professional. He specializes in organizational resilience, crisis management, and risk frameworks and recovery strategies. Aruna, please. The second panelist is expert in cyber strategy and also transformation at Deloitte India. Sanbir Singh Keer. Sanbir is an Army veteran major, enterprise risk leader with 23 years of expertise in leading large teams across third-party risk management, governance, risk and compliance, cyber security, fraud analytics, and corporate security and crisis resilience. He has a strong understanding of delivering global compliance and regulatory frameworks for large international corporations. In this aspect, I really want all of you to, bring up a lot of questions because it's regulatory, and he's expert in regulatory frameworks and also, compliances, global compliances. He's a technocrat at heart and with eyes on risk. Sanbir enjoys solving complex risks, challenges involving integration of technologies and process across multiple geographical regulatory. Sanbir is certified professional in multiple disciplines across corporate security, crisis and resilience, fraud risk, and cyber security. It is still long. I would like to stop it here. Welcome, Sanbir. The third panelist is Manisha Mahalingam. Is a manager at Atlassian, emergency management and people resilience team, where she leads global initiatives in incident response and management. With over 5 years of experience in security domain, she brings deep expertise in managing high-impact incidents, drive cross-functional preparedness strategies, including travel and event security, and oversee complex projects. Manisha holds a master's degree in international studies and a law degree, combining a strong analytical foundation with the drive for innovation and excellence. Welcome. And the fourth panelist is Shipra Bansal, is a cyber security professional with 15 years of experience in governance, risk management, compliance, and cloud security. She focuses on developing security strategies, AI security and risk management frameworks, and resilience programs for global enterprises. As a collaborative leader, Shipra drives cross-functional initiatives, foster cultural continuation learning, and empowers teams to build secure, compliant, and resilient organizations. Welcome, Shipra. All right, so the subject is kind of a combination of human expertise and SOCs, right? So there is a lot goes into this subject where it's a combination. As of now, we have SOCs that are purely human involved and migrating towards the artificial intelligence and the AI getting into a primary role of being first level, and sometimes humans become at the second level. That's the very interesting aspect. So the questions that we might be asking you are probably nested ones. The ones may have questions involved a nested internal question with longer questions. I don't know how many of you know, in our culture we have, there is a process of Astavadana. Have you, anybody knows about Avadhanam?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's basically you ask one question, but there will be like 4 questions inside that question. So that's what I wanted all of you to do with that. Ask more questions because they are experts in their fields. Okay. So he said that I would like to start with Aruna. He's expertise is in data recovery and business continuity. Aruna, there is AI is increasingly used by adversaries to conduct intelligent reconnaissance and dynamic attack path mapping across hybrid IT and physical infrastructure. And goes on, how must an experienced BCP and DR leader like yours restructure the traditional warning and testing regime, moving beyond simple failure drills to specifically validate the resilience of BCP plans against attackers whose actions are also guided by the UI? What metrics and measures plans robustness against AI-enabled disaster scenario? I mean, if you look at it, the other side is also using as much as you are using the AI, right? So how do you actually look or step into their shoes and understand what is exactly they are trying to do towards, what you need to prevent? Please.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to say thank you everyone because post lunch and post tea you are still holding your chair and we are standing between your Bangalore traffic and you're reaching home. So for sure, next 45 minutes will not bore any of you. So let me put in this perspective that when we talk about what is risk, what is top 10 risk of any company or any industry or any country. If I say in India, what is the top 10 risk? Anyone can say like any risk. What is right now one of the top risk in India is misinformation and disinformation. So all the election is happening. So down the line, 1-2 months, there's an election in Bihar. So you see a lot of posts in terms of Facebook, YouTube, all this mock picture, you like floating like anything. Prior to this, to do all this, you need to have certain skill for everything. For mock picture, right now you don't need to go to anywhere. You just download one app, whatever XYZ, I don't want to take name, just draft a prompt that Prime Minister is doing XYZ stuff. And within 2 minutes, with accurate, 99% accurate photo you get, you put some perception yourself and put on social media. In overnight, it become hit. And we don't check the background. So when I talk about BCP, ITDR, what exactly we do in terms of like AI integration, we are writing rule book, playbook for IC like DR, BCP and DR. It used to take long time to write all this because you have to go one by one. You have to understand the business. Right now, you don't need to waste so much of time on this. It will take hardly 5 minutes to draft a prompt. The moment you draft a prompt, you find everything on your table. So the prompt you got, probably it is not 100% accurate. And what we are doing, we are occupying with a lot of things. What we are doing, we are just simply copy paste. We just cross check the spelling and put on the playbook, run book, and it goes to entire company. There is 10,000 people, those who say it and they ignore it. So this is probably in terms of, if I say in terms of BCP, IT, DR risk, I don't want to say that we are security professional, we are risk professional, but if you see all this, then there is a huge risk. And when we are doing BCP, IT, you first try to understand what is the top 10 risk you have, and accordingly do your BIA and implement the outcomes accordingly. Yeah, I believe like this is what exactly required right now. I'll pass on to next one.
No, I just wanted to ask you just a brief thing. If we are actually exposing, all this information to the external systems, right? I remember one of the friends said, if you go and look up any of these chat GPTs and other things, put up a company name and say specific information, probably some information. It's actually bringing that information back, giving you a reply. The reason is somebody from that company has uploaded an Excel and asked to create a dashboard. So it is already studied. It got that information with it. So that risk is prevailing there, right? What we are giving it to it is actually being disseminated the entire organizations.
See, knowingly, unknowingly, we are going to the risk. And deliberately, we do a lot of stuff. So when I'm drafting a prompt in ChatGPT or any forum, by the way, like the company I work for, we sell AI. So for us, like everything free, they encourage us that you draft and write prompt in AI about company. So we'll get more customers for sure. But for the people, those who are not directly related to AI, those who are like product-based manufacturing company, deliberately or knowingly or unknowingly, you say the sensitive information on the prompt. The moment you say the information with the third party, ChatGPT or any the AI platform you are using, that is third party. They are collecting your sensitive information, and someone is smart enough to take the prompt. The ChatGPT or the AI will give all the sensitive information to them without paying a single penny. So the hackers used to do a lot of the if anyone using online router all this to hack something, you have to be specialist on this. But right now nowadays you don't need to be specialist because voluntarily we are giving all the data and details to the third party.
Right. Thanks, Aruna. So the next question is for you. The cyber security and cyber strategy and the risk advisory that you're doing, right? As a leader in the field, how should organizations and governments, particularly in the complex geopolitical landscape like India, reconcile the imperative to rapid adoption of powerful AI-driven technologies in the geopolitical stops, right? With the critical need to manage the strategic risk of AI, specifically around the data sovereignty and algorithms opaqueness and the potential for supply chain poisoning. What specific governance and risk transformation frameworks you advise the clients to implement ensure AI enhances rather than undermines both national and business cyber resilience? So it's a long question, but end of the day, the thing is we do see the risk from all the directions, and yet we want to implement the AI in a positive way. Please.
It's a great question. So a couple of things. I mean, and this is more for general awareness and audience, right? Do you know that there is a standard which has come out for how AI has to be governed? There are two standards. Anybody?
Please.
Yeah. So the ISO standard is 42001, and there is a supplementary standard across which also helps you to implement 42001, right? Now, similarly, the US government has come out with a standard which is on national NIST. NIST is the backbone of various standards which define how AI should be governed, right? So it's the RMF, which is the risk management framework brought out by the US government body. There's a similar regulation which the EU has brought out, right? Now, where are we lagging over here, right? You asked me the question, it's a three-funded question. One is, where is the governance?
Where is the governance?
Right? India has been lagging in terms of how we come out with our rules, regulations, and the adoption of those rules and regulations. So there is no standard which has been defined by the government of India or the regulatory bodies yet. Right? This does not mean that it will not come in the future. It might come in the future. Our adoption to the GDPR principles or data privacy principles were also quite lagging. We are yet to adopt those rules in principle, though the rules are out by last week or so. Now, if you were to kind of look at where is this inching, right? If you look at the IT Act of India, what we did was we said that the data in India should reside in India. That's called data localization. Now, with the data localization, what is the government trying to do? Right? It's a three-frontal approach. First, we don't want our data to sit in the cloud and go outside of the country, right? And this is personally protected data, which we're talking about. The second aspect of this is data is strength and data is also the weakness, right? I mean, you've seen it in Sanbir how different kind of systems were trying to be exploited. In principle, there were more than 8 lakh active attacks which happened on the RBI website on day one of the attacks, right? Banks like HDFC, SBI were hit close to about 100,000 times every single hour. Every single hour. I repeat that. So just be mindful of the way the attacks are happening, right? Pick up any election today, and Aruna kind of touched upon this. So misinformation and disinformation happening very easily. I could pick up anybody of who's your face and create a video of you talking in 10 minutes flat, right? And it will be very realistic, deep fake. It's there, it's out, it's easy, right? And it's easily exploitable. Most of you would be on Insta, Facebook, WhatsApp, different channels, YouTube. How do you trust what you see? Or can you trust, right? It's all about TRP or whatever is the equivalent of that on the net. So you're trying to get more information, but the information could be misleading. And that creates a pseudo war which is there. There is also, I just touch upon one more aspect, which is there is, we've always talked about the arms race. Countries today are fighting the AI adoption race. Every country, every organization is AI first, right? We want to do more with AI, but we don't know what the outcome is expected, right? If we are given a gun and plenty of bullets and we don't know where to fire, God help us, right? So if the end target is not there in sight, what would AI do? It will mislead you, right? And I'll take a pause. I mean, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, on that, anybody have any follow-up questions? Please, yeah. Can you give one mic there, please? Yeah, go ahead. If you can be loud.
The business model of the AI is in a way where they are being driven by the profit models. So recently, OpenAI has removed the barrier where now people can create content. So then, how do you see the governance of AI in the foreseeable future? Because it's still very much there is a lot of time to bypass whatever the government is coming with.
Sure. So most organizations, when they're getting into AI, and it is a very common and known fact that most employees or team members, they try and adopt using either ChatGPT or Copilot or Perplexity and other tools which are there out there. Now, what organizations can do is probably look at what's the internal governance mechanism for use of AI, right? We should not wait for the government to tell us what to do, right? Self-governance is also a very key aspect in this reduction. So how do we self-govern? Now, let's say if my organization decides that I would allow my team members, my employees to use AI, I can also go and say, okay, I will allow them to use Microsoft Copilot, which is only for internal purposes. You can create prompts, you can do whatever you want to do, but only use that particular tool. Or if you want to use a Google-related tool, then you stick to that one tool, right? And other tools are built around that. So, a couple of years back until date, we talk about security by design, right? And security by design comes in the physical security as well as by designing the applications and systems. Now, if you were to apply the same principles, security by design for AI, right? How do I protect the AI systems itself? How do I protect the AI knowledge bank? How do I make sure that the data that I'm putting into the AI tool does not go outside my organization boundary walls? Right? So that's a self-governing mechanism which most organizations, most mature organizations are already doing it. And hence, if you look at, I touched upon NIST, I touched upon 2001, right? Those standards, they are standards. And, broadly, the standards are giving you an idea of how you can self-govern yourself, right? It's not a mandate. Like 27001 is not a mandate. You can go ahead and get certified, but nobody says that if you're not a 27001, certified, you cannot do business. Similarly, we can adopt a standard to suit the environment that you operate in, the industry that you operate in, and make sure that you're more secure. I hope that answers.
Yeah, so on that aspect, the guardrails within the organization are fine. So, it's going to be self-governance. But what happens if my organizational data by somebody, either internal or external, taken out, put it out in the, one of these tools, bot tools? Gary, if I may bring in, out of way about this question with you. So what is the possibility of today if my data, my organizational data is put into, these third-party products where it becomes available for somebody else? What is the regulation we have? Do we have any of that?
So, if you really talk about probability,
Yeah.
I would not say there's probability, certainty. It's 100% probability. That's as simple as that. Some of the largest conglomerates now, they're called conglomerate because they have various divisions. This is the base what they do. Right? More severe than that is something which is being used for even causing revolutions. So this is a sensitive topic, but I don't mind mentioning that the usage of this data, I call them leader-led revolutions. Nepal, Bangladesh. Did anybody from Bangladesh become leader? Somebody was thrown from somewhere else. Nepal, no other country. This leader-led revolutions, they are also caused from the same data that we fear.
Wow.
So this is the power of this data, that it can topple governments, create revolutions, forget about few dollars being made by using your data.
Wow, that's a great insight. I mean, if leaderless revolutions are happening just because of our data being out there, that's a very scary scenario. Thanks, Sanbir. It was a good insight. Anything to add to that?
Just one comment on what Gary sir just talked about, right? I mean, if you just look at the recent trends of elections, not only in India but worldwide, starting from Trump's re-election and the previous election where Hillary Clinton lost, to the most recent re-election of our own Prime Minister, to some of the recent strikes that we've seen, whether it was the farmer strike, whether it was other political-led, events, right? So, one is there is a campaigning, but there is also a campaign funding which happens using the same data sets and data pockets, right? We have our data on every single app that we use on our phones, wherever we buy. Our Aadhaar cards are out there in public. God knows where all places. You talk about your personal data. It's very surprising that it would take about a minute and a half to crack any phone out here, right? You can say it's a Samsung, it's an iPhone, doesn't matter. Like the level of de-encryption which is out there and available is very high. Now it's just a matter of time when you use your data.
Right.
And to Gary sir's point, it's already there, right? So it's not that, it's not being misused yet. It's just a matter of time when the correlation happens of multiple people who think alike. Like you like to buy trousers from Louis Philippe, and so does Daddy Sir, and so does 20 other people. What's the correlation between these people? If I'm able to make that correlation and link it to some agenda that I want to drive, I will be able to drive that agenda.
Right. Right.
Getting to Sanbir point and Sir point, so this is called hybrid warfare. Earlier, when we used to go war with tanks, battlefield, with a lot of manpower, right now we don't need to go to war for war like battlefield. You have to like fight the war in computer. If you see the India-Pakistan recent Operation Sindoor, actually, if you see Pakistan lost the war, there is no doubt about it. But if you see Twitter, Facebook, they won the war. So this is the different. And if you go back down the line 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, this so-called protest was happening. I'm not against any political party or I'm not supporting any political party here. Farmer protest, sign by protest, so-called 100 of protests was happening in India. But as Sir said, all the protests was leaderless protests. They don't know why they are protesting. If you go ask them, and probably you have seen some rails, if you go them ask, hey, you know why you are protesting this? No, I don't know. They paid me 500 rupees. I just come here. And they told, hey, this party, Murdabad, Zindabad, I was doing this throughout day. So this is something called hybrid warfare. Knowingly, unknowingly, we all are part of this. The moment you open Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you are part of this, and knowingly you support this. You, me, everyone in this, like across globe, we are supporting each other on this war.
Thanks, Aruna. It's a good input. It's a large topic. I think, at the end of the session, probably we'll take some more inputs from Gary sir and others. Okay. So, anyway, the next question goes to Manisha. You are into the SOCs, right? So, the question is strategic deployment and synergy beyond basic alert triage. What are some of the best practices for integrating advanced strategic AI capabilities, such as predictive global and political threat modeling, which we already had a little bit introduction, and complex influence of campaign analysis into geopolitical SOCs? What the specific frameworks, mechanisms are necessary to ensure seamless, high-trust operational synergy where human analytics leverage AI strategic foresights?
Thank you. Firstly, at the outset, thank you for letting the young analyst or young professional on this panel. I hope to do justice.
You're welcome.
To answer the question, definitely AI can be used to elevate basic alert triaging to something with more strategic foresight, right? AI is already cutting down on the grunt work that an analyst has to do, filtering through OSINT feeds, through online sources. But how to take it a step forward? How do we reach that strategic foresight? To give you an example of what worked best for me is to fusing different verified data sources, be it OSINT or social media telemetry or geopolitical trends, into a single analytics pipeline. So what it's doing is not only giving us the information we need quickly and faster, but also is connecting it and making it more impactful. To give an example of how I went about this is during the India-Pakistan conflict, and as everyone said, there was a lot of disinformation online. So we leveraged Atlassian's agentic AI tool to come up with an automation that correlated social media spikes with the developments in the geopolitics to kind of assess and predict disinformation waves. And this led us from going from just something reactive alerting to something to more predictive foresight. This is something we just did at a very small level. At a higher SOC command center levels, the Border Security Force, in fact, launched their command center AI-driven one a month ago. They're calling it Decision Support System, DSS. What they are doing is they're integrating the GIS information, legacy operations, incident data, as well as sensor from the borders. They're collecting all of this to integrate it to give them a complete operations picture. They're using this command center to help them predict things like hotspots for smuggling, infiltration routes. And this is how you can take something simple as alerts, and by fusing it with multiple data sources to something more strategic. But but having the human in the loop is extremely important, as everyone touched upon. And AI tools already allow us to do this. Whenever there's an anomaly, it already is flagging that and escalating it for human triage. It's escalating it for different workflows. It's basically, think of your AI as raising its hand and saying, "I think I'm seeing an intruder. It could also be a ghost. Can you check?" But what I'm trying to talk about here is human skepticism. That is a superpower when it comes to having this synergy between AI and human analysts. The kind of skepticism that is an analyst has when they're not on coffee or on a lot of caffeine, at questioning the AI. And if you until we are satisfied, because when we're questioning the AI, it starts to mature and starts to learn. If you look at the word AI and keep reading it out, it in fact sounds like, "Hey, why?" And you keep asking the AI every time it gives you some output. "Hey, why are you telling me this? Hey, why is this answer?" And when we are able to intuitively and ask AI and question its model, we can make it more mature. And then finally, when it's mature, we lead to a more seamless, high trust operational synergy between AI and a human analyst.
So, what is the mechanism or the model, the questioning of the AI? How do you do that, and then how do you put that into the process? Is it going to be an SOP for the continuous development of this AI? Like Vamshi was saying, the explainable AI, what he has mentioned, that when you give some input to it, actually it starts telling you what it understood about what you said, and then feed on that, and then create its own further developed LLM, right? So what is the mechanism of that next step of the humans who needs to train that system?
The first thing would be, even to go to that stage, is to train the analysts themselves on AI literacy. And by AI literacy, I do not mean training someone to know how to use AI, but rather how to question the AI. How do you having that instinct to question the AI, right? So when a human is able to question the AI, they're able to also teach the AI how to do things. And this also is not the only thing you can do. You have other exercises that a command center must hold for its analysts, be it red teaming, or having tabletop exercises, or having those AI goes rogue simulations. And those learnings have to be incorporated into the trainings, the standard operating procedures, so that we move away from just learning to more process-driven standard operating procedures.
Yeah, I know. I remember, back then, we used to do a lot of annotations, a lot of labelings, and all these things with a lot of team sitting there and trying to do it. And we did that too a decade back, right? And right now, we're doing a lot of these NLP related messages back into the system, which is actually able to decipher and then retrain itself and then start that ML internally. Yeah, it's a process. I think we're heading there, but not yet there. That's what I feel.
Shreenu, if I could add
Please go ahead.
to this. So very practical, so what are we trying to do in our security operations center? We're trying to gather information from various sources, right? This could be news channels, it could be tweets, it could be, ONSIT, but basically gathering, right? There are tools out there which can actually do correlation for you, right? Now, the more that you feed into the correlation, like let's say, there is, and by the way, it's absolutely a made up story. So, let's say there is some news coming on Hindustan Times, some coming on Times of India, some coming on News Now, right? But over time, you know that, intuitively or otherwise, that the news which is coming from one particular channel is actually more accurate. You can do that to the AI tool that you're using, right? So manual intervention reduces. Now, the second aspect is, how do you use that data to give you some insights? So you use a layered tool to probably bring all that information into something which is more consumable, like a co-pilot which gives an executive summary, right? And then probably have the human behind that intel to kind of validate before it actually goes out, right? I mean, though you can automate even sending messages, but have that intervention at a much later date. So instead of having 4 analysts to look through 10 news channels or 10 websites, you can use an AI tool to do that job for you.
Is that more of a agentic process? Models.
Yeah, when we trained the AI for the India-Pakistan crisis, it was giving us executive updates, but of course, it needs a human, to review that.
All right, thank you. So next question is for Shipra. You are into the cyber security, right? You are the cyber security expert with you understand that AI introduces new attack surface. What are the top three immediate security controls as geopolitical thought must implement to protect underlying generative AI machine learning models for adversarial attacks like data poisoning and model theft, which could compromise the entire security posture? Further, how does the integration of powerful AI assistants like copilots fundamentally alter the argument that traditional insider threat model the SOC? And what new InfoSec policies must be deployed to manage their risk?
Sure. Thank you so much. When we talk about the AI and the cybersecurity, so there are two parts to it. One is security of the AI systems that we are developing or implementing or utilizing for our business, and then using AI to secure our businesses as well.
Correct.
So it's like security for AI and AI for the security. So you asked about the controls. So on both sides, we need to implement or we need to design according to our business requirements as well. The security controls, for example, if you talk about anybody working into the cybersecurity space, you talk about the controls. They will talk about the preventive controls, detective controls, and corrective controls, like the business continuity and all. But this is the high time with using the AI, we talk about the predictive controls as well. That before something happens, before an event happens or an event is detected by the tools, it's predicted based on the historical data or the extrapolation of data. And that is where you utilize the AI to predict the future threats or to predict that where according to my business that is evolving, what could be the new threats that would be evolving, or what is my the industry that I'm working into, what are the other industry market players getting the threats or get what kind of incidents they are getting, learning from that and evolving your AI systems or evolving your in-house tools and technologies to predict the incidents or the threats that might be happening for you. So that is the predictive controls that you need to go into. And then we talk about the cybersecurity of the AI systems. Now, in most of the enterprises, it's like today there's a race of implementing maximum AI tools and putting maximum AI-based small applications, like even teenagers are developing small applications and launching it. You'll find on Google Play Store like a number of applications, and you'll not even know how secure they are or not. But everybody is sort of in a race to deliver maximum AI tools into the place. But how secure are they really? Or in the enterprises, how regulated? We talk about the regulations. We're talking about regulations a lot of times since morning as well. But there is something as regulating your environment before it is regulated by the governments and all. Within your enterprise, within your business, how well are you able to regulate the usage or the development or the implementation of AI? For example, what kind of data is can be used to train the AI models? So the AI which is still not launched, in the development, but you're feeding your production data to that, you're feeding your top sensitive data to that. And just like it was raised in the morning that 95% of startups fail, 95% of AI use cases also fail. But all of those use cases, if you are training with your high priority secret data or confidential without caring about the confidentiality of the data, so that data is lying in those models, even those models which are not launched. So that creates your shadow AI problem. That's a bigger problem these organizations are going to have tomorrow, because right now you're developing AI without implementing, like he was mentioning, the security by design. and you feed in the data, it lies there. You're not launching it, but still the model is trained on that. So second thing is, once it is developed, how well are you able to keep that data model on track? So for example, it's like taming a AI model is just like taming or educating a toddler. You tell it one day that something is lying on the floor, it's garbage, put it in the bin. Second day, anything in your house is lying on the floor, the toddler will go and put it in the bin. That's what AI does. You know, you tell it that if you see this kind of threat or incident or event or this kind of rules matching your rule book, take this action. That is where you need to limit the AI's decision making power to low risk areas. For example, in the physical security or in the geopolitical SOC areas, highly you can say that sensitive areas, for example, any defense property, you can utilize the AI to detect the trespassers. You will not allow them to shoot the trespassers directly without human intervention, because that is where you will allow them to raise the incident, to raise the alert to the respective parties that there is a possible trespasser identified in this area, and this is the movement, this is how the person has entered, and these are the data points. Now that analyst will see whether it's some third party vendor coming in, maybe some maintenance work, or somebody called from a new joiner that is not yet fed into the AI systems. The data is not yet mapped. So you will not allow it to take the high risk decisions of your organizations. You will limit it to the analytics. You will limit it to do that data reading for you and build that viewpoint for you, which analysts will use and will take the further action. And the second point, you also asked about the policies. So as I mentioned before, we expect the regulations from the government bodies or the bigger ecosystem regulate your environment, and a way of doing is through the policies. And it's not that for AI you altogether you need to develop all the new policies. Everything you'll discard all your older policies and you will rewrite or you'll reinvent something. It's all that your existing policies will have to be evolved into adapting the AI. You must be having your system security policies, enhance them with your AI systems policies. You have your data security policies, enhance them with your DFTs and requirements of the protection of the data that is being fed into the AI models. Or if you have your IT system policy or acceptable use policy, I think the most common policy in every enterprise. So acceptable use of AI policy, that and the all of the policies, the controls, everything you have implemented, but it will not work unless the people who are going to use those systems, the people who are the admins or maybe the customers or the users of the systems, are aware of how to responsibly use that as well. So the awareness of your intended audience for AI systems or that AI models or the agents, that's also very important. So that's why we say that it's not just about securing the AI, it's also about using AI for securing your business. And last point I would like to make is limiting the AI as well and making sure that you develop business relevant AI. You're not just for the sake of that leaders are telling me everybody has to give me one AI use case quarterly, and you're just implementing AI for the sake of it and making things complex, because you have to take it, maintain it also. Otherwise, it will drift and do disaster for you. So you have
it will be a broken arrow someday.
yes,
Right? So
you have to keep it trained to keep it in the lane. Otherwise, you can see what laneless driving can do on the road.
I think the point since morning, most of them are accepted is you have to have internal regulations that need to be defined, drafted, and then adopted before your full AI is actually implemented within your organizations. That's one thing which is in consensus with everyone since morning. But I wanted to go back to your first, two answers that you have given. Basically, I want to be devil's advocate. Basically, I do like predictive analytics. Vamshi always tries to put a stop on it, but predictive analytics is one of the futuristic thing that we need to do. But when you mentioned about the data, the past data that you take and then do the predictive analytics, the second answer you said, you have to be careful, and then you have to be using that data for the internal purpose. So these things become self-contradictory within our organizations because we want to have a forward-looking model where we want to do the predictive analysis, but we want to put a stop and put a break with the data. So how do we balance this out?
So that is the right balance that you find by one is you don't limit the data that you're putting, you're limiting the purpose of the data and the accuracy, and you can say that put just enough data that we call the term used as just enough data. That is, if you need to put X amount of data to train the model, do not put X plus 5. That is one data limitation.
How do we know that? Right now, we have the tendency of putting too much of data into it. There is no kind of breaks. So how we create that regulation, or how do we create that policy not to put too much?
So one is what is the purpose of that data?
Yeah.
Do you have, for example, the GDPR also answers this very beautifully, that a limitation of data, that is, if you need to know only the email ID and contact number, or if you need to know, only the picture, no need to retina scan people.
Right.
And do and feed that data to your vendors and do the scanning of, or do the extra profiling of the users. So just like you were mentioning with Gary also, that vendors utilizing your data to manage or to support the other customers as well in the other industries, or to make a profit out of that. So that is one way that, you should know that what amount of data, what attributes of my data are flowing into my system and out of my system as well, because prompt engineering is not new right now. Like you can, there have been cases where people have been able to, break down the AI systems by putting the scripts into the prompts, or AI over revealing the data. If I'm not having access to, if I don't have authorization of looking at some particular data piece directly in my organization, I should not be able to see it through my organization's chatbot also.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So
Because
that guardrail has to be built into the system. Any one of you take up based on that? You want to have any add in?
I'll share my personal story on this. 2009, I got selected in Bureau of Intelligence. So, 5 Janpas somewhere I was sitting. So, I was so-called research analyst for Government of India. And we were closely working with NetGrid. So, people, those who are like basically cyber security, specifically in terms of Government of India. NetGrid is like a company or government organization who keep close watching on all the cyber transactions across India or globe. Specifically, they keep watch on bad actors against India. So from 5 Janpat to NetGrid, the office is hardly, if you see, hardly 2 kilometers. But to get any approach, it takes almost 2 months to get any details on behalf of. Like we are government organization, we are going back to one more government organization to get few detail, specific transaction detail or account detail. During 2009, it was quite difficult to get approval for surveillance. Right now, it is very easy for surveillance in terms of AI always. Whereas same time in 2023-21, this war is going on between Iran and Israel. If you can Google something called, they had killed one scientist, Iran scientist, through a gun. They deployed the gun at Tehran and they operated it from Tel Aviv. So this is the difference between AI, government regulation. So when I come to India, why I share my personal story. So it is like 2009 means it is almost 15 plus 16 odd years. while I was working there, it was quite frustrating because you not get any data, any detail. That is like you go pillar to post to ensure that you get some data always. But whereas normally in years I can see agency like Mossad, the one of the best agency in the globe, they are killing the so-called the most important scientist of one country with their operating from different countries. So this is the accuracy. The regulation is there, policy is there, but the moment AI is there, it is called nothing. Who is having right, who is having upper hand in terms of AI, cyber security, they will rule the world for sure. There's no doubt about it.
With that, I would like to open the floor for the questions next 5 minutes. Please, no suggestions, but questions, please. Yeah. Didn't have mics here. Wait, one second. We're passing on the mic to you. It's not audible here.
So you.
Oh, sorry. I'll come back once it's done. Huh?
On the SOCs part, right, there's always an SOP for any incident or an anomaly that is detected. A few times it could also be wrong, whatever the SOP is, etc. They are wrong, or maybe the anomaly got missed. Now, Gen AI, right, supposed to generate the next poetry, for example. Now, are you heard about application that it detects the anomaly or detects a mistake in the SOP which was not properly closed the incident, and it regenerates a different SOP or modifies that? Have we looked at those use cases, come across that, or felt a need of those?
I hope my question is clear.
Yeah, so
Not exactly so for the SOPs, etc., right, which are designed. The user to design the Gen AI at the same time, if there's a fault that is detected, anomaly that is detected, this could be based on the fault in the SOP. Does it, do you have an heard of an API of an generative use case or applied that which corrects or generates a new SOP for that kind of an incident? Where is the gap is?
So I think maybe,
Yep.
maybe we can go further than Gen AI, and when we jump into agentic AI, it can automate this sort of work for you. You can feed it the data you want and ask it to make those corrections in your standard operating procedures based on the misses. And you have to teach the agent again and again to get it more mature. But it is a use case that agentic AI can be used for. So we've used agentic AI in our work to correct our standard operating procedures by feeding it backend data and information. We used Robo, which is Atlassian's internal Gen AI tool.
So I can share one of my experiences into
I
exactly
think
that. So
somebody in the back.
we were doing
Such.
we were doing the tabletop exercise for a SOC environment for a food organization, and now we reviewed the SOPs as well, part of that, and we questioned the L1, L2, and the SOC leads also, and found certain gaps. And instead of all of the SOPs being rewritten, themselves by the team, the food organization that we're working with, the CISO had very clear view that I want to test this as well as the AI use case, and exactly that's what we did. We fed the tabletop exercises report. Of course, we had to write the report in more details for AI to consume it, and used the bot to correlate it with why these answers were given by the analyst or by the leads there. And it correlated to that this is because your SOP mentions it this way, that's why your analysts are doing it this way, or probably because your analysts are using this SOP since 1 year, 2 years, they think that they know the SOP in and out, and after certain time they don't even use it, they don't even refer it. They're like, I get this incident daily, I'll do it myself. So those two problems were predicted, were resulted, and the SOPs were updated exactly the sections, exactly what should be implemented, what should be changed in the into the SOP to ensure that analyst every time refers to it, and the SOP is able to help and evolve along with the sim and SOAR use cases, that anytime the similar incident with any minor deviation also comes, how the SOP needs to be evolved according to that.
It's like if you're developing if you're developing applications and not using it regularly, uh, it is, I mean, we are at risk. I didn't get that. Can you just
Yeah, so that's where I talked about the shadow AI. That is where many use cases, many ideas flow into your organization. Everybody has their own ideas of automating the work or bringing in AI into your business applications. But every idea does not reach the production. Okay. However, when the model is in testing, the data lakes are built, to test the models. That's where you feed your data, and if you're feeding your production data there and then you're retiring those, or those don't reach the production, that means they are not secured with the same level of security controls which you do for your production systems. You have AI, you have data into those, you have models, but that's not secure, that's unconfigured. And that's why we call always look for what's in your shadow, what's not visible to you, but has even higher risks for you, because you're not even monitoring that. Probably those servers, because ultimately we talk about AI, we talk about all the models. Ultimately, it's all the servers, it's all the databases, it's all the machines at the end. So if those are not being monitored, those your endpoints are not being monitored, that are sitting in the shadow, but still they have the data. So that's the bigger risk that they're posing.
thank you.
So those will be accessed by the rogue AIs. Basically, they can feed on them, right?
Yes, and those will be in your environment. Those are connected to your production system somehow, and those could be the entry points and could lead to the later movements.
Anyone else? Thank you. It was an insightful discussion on the young people. I feel a lot of the information I have been organized.